All right, we're all here. We'll get Sonic Versus started. So I guess we'll just kind of go this way, down the order here. So we'll start with Chuck Perkins, then we'll listen to some Andy Young, and then we'll listen to some Jack Slicky, we'll listen to some Sean Monroe and Barry Malter here. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of play about 5 or 6 minutes of poetry and music for each one of us. Like Chuck will go first, he'll play his stuff, and then we'll kind of talk about it for a little bit, and then Andy will play her stuff, we'll talk about it for a little bit, and so on. So we'll kind of dive right in, and we'll start with some tunes from Chuck. She said I can do anything?
Yep.
Yeah.
Lights, cameras, music.
When I sing my song, they love me. I can do no wrong. All the girls bless me. Running on this stage, I stand like a king. Yes, indeed. I can do anything. I can do anything. And I can do anything. I can do anything but find peace. Lord have mercy. 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 Lord have mercy on me.
The stage is his sanctuary. The adulation is his morphine. The inferno that rages inside of his head is outside of him. He uses it to set the stage on fire. Manifested as a manic energy. The adulation converts his rage and inferno into a musical charge. Every piece of organic matter in the room is electrified. It all shakes in the palm of his hands. He converses in rhythm and rhyme. He's a popsicle dandy. The heat from the flames can't warm his cool. He can't be out-smoked, out-jazz, or out-blues. This is his stage. He owns it. All of the vulnerabilities and doubt have been neutralized by the musical charge. He wishes he could box the adulation and store it in his ear. He's a magician. He blows air into brass, and truth appears beneath the rhythmic tapping of feet and the rhythmic shaking of asses. They can't teach this at the conservatory. It's the music lover's trinity of motion, sound, and sweat. His sanctuary is shrouded in the shadows of dirty notes. The listener's hearts are resurrected. The idea of a mundane existence is shattered. This devil's den turned church, this sinner comes saint. This devil's den turned church, this sinner comes saint. The inferno that rages inside of his head is outside of him. He uses it to set the stage on fire. I like it. Motown, what you think, baby?
I think you can take some stuff out of that. Maybe my vocals are where it's not high.
By far the funkiest of all the poets today. Could you tell us what your composition process was like for that song?
For that song, I guess it basically, just start with coming up with the words, and so I guess the chorus, everything that John Boutte came later. But at that particular time, one of my friends, who's a very well-known local musician, he would perform every Monday at the DBA, and I was there. Oh my God. You know, this dude would turn this Monday into church for real. But he was having real substance abuse issues, right? And I can notice that people will come and really enjoy themselves, and sometimes he's testifying in such an honest way, but for them it's just an act, a show, and everybody's just having fun. But I'm knowing that it's something much deeper that's happening, at least for this individual on his side of it. And so, you know, I was always moved by the way he could like control the crowd. You know, there's something about this whole thing with the addiction. I'm not an expert on this sort of thing, but it seemed like he was able to kind of use that energy to kind of like whip the crowd in a frenzy, right? Yeah. And so I wanted to write about that. And then I never studied music or anything like that, but being in New Orleans and being around so much music, you know, it's if you decide you want to add music to what it is you're doing, it's not that difficult. And so I learned that part of it just like sort of trial by fire, you know what I'm saying? I think when I first moved back from here, when I first moved back in 2003, I could get some musicians together, but I would just read my poem, and if it sounded okay, cool. But I remember I was doing something in New York with some friends, and a great drummer who's originally from here, Donald Edwards, he stopped me and said, "Listen, we like your stuff, and we are listening to you. And we want you to listen to us too." And you know, I really kind of needed to hear that, you know, and so I guess it put me in a space now whenever I'm on stage and there's some musicians, I'm trying to hear exactly what it is they are doing, and I'm trying to kind of like match that energy and you know, I guess be on time with everything. But that particular song, that whole album was on a German, independent German record label called Trikont out of Munich, you know. And probably one of the biggest compliments I got from a dude in London reviewed that CD and said, whoever this Chuck Perkins is the spiritual offspring of Gil Scott-Heron. I was like, well, how do you know? I listen to Gil Scott every day. So anyway, that's.
What was the when you were recording in the studio with John Mateo? What was that process like? When you were recording the song? Oh,
it was awesome, you know, because John is a, you know, super cool dude, and we were at Piety Studios with Mark Bingham, and you know, it's like one of those beautiful spaces that doesn't exist anymore. But I think I had like Detroit Brooks in there, and maybe Dave Torkanowski. I mean, these are some real A-list New Orleans guys, right? That I was able to pull together, and yeah, it was awesome. It was a fantastic experience.
You used to work at Piety Street.
I did. Yeah, I worked for a number of years there. So did Earl over here. Yeah.
Well, y'all know, you know.
It was a cool place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool musicians coming and going all the time. Can I ask a question?
Get in there, bro.
So right off the hop, you were saying when I wrote this song, and so I think 2 or 3 times now you referred to it as a song.
Mm-hmm.
Was the plan from the beginning? It was a song.
No, and that was just like I certainly misspoke because I never. Yeah, no.
I think it's free to go either way.
Yeah, I agree. But for me, I consider myself a poet, mm-hmm. and that's what I write. But I have always been so inspired by like Gil Scott-Heron, mm-hmm. and I do consider him a poet as well. And I have always wanted to be able to do what he did, the way he was able to add music to his text and make it so spiritual and soulful. I've always been aiming for that.
Can you draw a line between what's a song and what's a poem?
You know, yeah, I was thinking about that, and you're probably right. It is perspective because I have heard some people might refer to me as like because they've heard like a certain poem I did and say that guy's a rapper. But I've never considered myself a rapper, right? But if you have something that rhymes or you put like text with music, in a way it's kind of like what rappers do. In a way it's kind of like
we call them rap songs.
Right? we call them rap songs.
Yeah. Song?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that's a good question. And so if I can draw a line, no, because there are some songs that are so poetic, right? That when if I mean, even if you said the words and not and didn't sing and be like, wow, that was super dope.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
There are songs that are spoken.
Yes, yeah.
Poems that are
Yeah, so I don't know if anybody in the audience can draw a line, but I can.
I'll draw the line. I'll draw the line right between the two words as a slash. Poem/song. Do we want to hear some more music? Yeah. Can we play some of yours, Andy? Sure. All right, let's see how we play. Which one do you want to do? Nightwalk, Bones, Waiting? We'll do a couple of Andys because it's a little bit shorter.
Let's do Nightwalk.
Nightwalk.
Nightwalk. Beneath the cotton candy pink in the plume of a tire fire, one man's beard is peeling off. One looks like a clown, leans on a stick. Shadow of another the color of fruit rot. A parade is coming. No, it's a crowd flushed back across the bridge. Pregnant woman, old man, limping child, a tall one whose skin's too tight, the bones poke through, obscene. Is there a hospital that will protect their names? What is the half-dressed woman doing by the rail? Jumping? Retching? One's nose is gone. Another's lost his whole face. Where's the body that arm belongs to? Does someone have water? Does someone have gauze? The sky black tatters, the moon an acrid smudge, smoke clots and red siren lights. A vinegar rag for the gas? A child holds a miniature horse by a flimsy rope. It's one of the four. Her horsemen were shot. There's a clearing over there, but it's above the river. You'd have to drown to get there.
Bones, Waiting, or Bats?
Bats after the hurricane. You'd think us shadows, but our bodies hang, soft palmfuls of air, emanating heat which pours over you, as from hidden suns. Our five-toed feet curved round restored, exposed beams, wings jacketing bodies, heads pointed down, numberless guano colonies forming beneath us. The city, upside down through the windows, is shedding itself. Buildings stripped bare of their human makers. Soon we will fill them.
We got time for a third one. Bones or Waiting?
Play Bones. You could just play part of it. 10 minutes.
Bones, bones, that solid architecture. They ache, they creak, they groan like houses. They bow toward ground. I am supported by the sturdy agreement of hip and thigh. Stiffened by structure, sacrum, coccyx, I am hollowed, scooped out place inside my skull, little caverns inside my bones.
I was enjoying that jam.
Yeah.
So what was your composition process like? Yeah, it's
I need
fine.
to do that. Well, pretty different with all three, I guess. I like Chuck. And I guess to say something about the first one, Night Walk. I mean, part of for me, wanting to hear these as sonic pieces is partly my impulse. I really like collaboration. I like collaboration if I get to do my thing first. I want my words to be the way I have them in my head, because that's how they come. But so Nightwalk is very collaborative because it's written from a painting by Myrtle Van Dammens III. And it sort of looks like a parade, and it sort of looked like, to me, Qasr al-Nil Bridge in Egypt during the revolution. And later when I talked to Myrtle, in fact, she was thinking about these things. This was during the Egyptian uprising, and she was watching Al Jazeera all the time, and Mardi Gras was going on outside, some of the same things. So I wrote this piece and then worked with musician and sound artist Earl C&O, who may or may not be in the room. Yeah, there he is. And we worked together many years creating soundscapes for multidisciplinary ways of presenting poems. And I don't remember whose ideas were which, but I'm pretty sure Earl's idea to bring in some chanting from the revolution, and we talked about the idea of kind of proprietary issues, and realized that we had plenty. My husband and I had recordings because we were there during the revolution, so we just brought in our own recordings from the street, and he put them together. And I'm sure there was more to it than that, than just putting them together. But of the way the voices kind of come together in the background, because it's kind of this horrific scene, and in the middle of a horrific scene, there's also this incredible unity, which, I mean, I think we see now. You can see some of that with some of the Columbia students, for example. But I think particularly during the Arab Spring, we saw a lot of this, so that there's something really inherently hopeful and powerful about people coming together. And often that's in response to state and police brutality. So the sounds in the background to me felt very natural with this piece. With bats, that came from a bat colony that formed in the New Orleans Center for Creative Arts, where I work. During Katrina, they kind of took over a classroom. And I was thinking about Sylvia Plath's mushrooms and how she speaks a lot about bats kind of speaking as this kind of unified voice. And then Earl had this brilliant idea of like recording me over and over and making it so that it sort of sounds like a chorus of me speaking as the bats. And just to say something about the third piece, it's been a long time since that piece was made, and that's actually with Pete Lazenby, who's a composer and musician, and we did a lot of creating together, and he's the one who created that song, and I kind of remember making some of those sounds. I think some of the shaking sound, I think those were like these little shells that we brought back from a beach in North Carolina, and like shaking those. I can't remember all the weird ways that he'd create sounds, but that was really fun to kind of be part of that. But he made the music for that.
So when you're working with Earl, a moment, or is it kind of like, you record something, think about it for a couple days, move some things around, and then come back to it and record some more stuff?
good question. Maybe you can help me out, Earl. I feel like we record it as its own thing, but maybe we've already talked about what we're going to do, and then maybe after we record it, we try like, hey, maybe the bats need to be a little looser because it kind of sounded like they were all like one big bat. Kind of loosen the bats. So like weird conversations like that. That's how I'm thinking of our process. Like loosen the bats.
That's how I remember it.
Yeah, and so then change it and then listen to it again. And we're still working on these pieces and stuff.
And where are you doing the recordings in New Orleans and stuff? Just a look to hear my own.
I'm recording in Earl's living room with a very brilliant little setup where he puts me in a little pod that he's created, and I just speak.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's good to have friends with good sound equipment, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and knowledge. Yes, yes.
Jonathan, should we play some of yours?
Yeah.
You wanna...
Blessed is the lotus, the day's bleeding moon. Blessed are the spiders, their alphabet, 26 stones my corpse is dancing. Blessed are the worms, the maggots, sexless and probing like tongues through the rotting soil. Blessed is the lone, blessed is the lone, the darkness, mushrooms blooming, teeth pushing through the earth's black and putrid gums. Blessed is the maw, the great maw, the mouth, the gnashing of continental shores. Blessed are the soul, a promontory scab, hardening around the earth's myriad molten wounds. Blessed is the blood, the bile ascending, the gross moss of shapeless years forming on the eyeless trunks of trees. Blessed are the snakes, the dragons breathing, the giants eating, each dumb beast our mothers, our fathers, filled with blood. Blessed are the black cricket's legs, singing furiously until the whole lake is the trembling through galactic dark. Blessed is the dark, the knotted roots of the first tree, the fearful serpent uncoiling still as even the first stone turns to dust. Blessed is our fear, the great retching which rips us wide-eyed, hairy and blood-spattered, terribly laughing up from the mud. Blessed is the transfiguration of terror that wakens the crimson thread within. Blessed is our weaving and crawling, our climbing. Blessed is our grading. Blessed is our climb. Blessed are we who flop from mud to soil to grass to trees. Blessed is the transmutation of air and fruit and meat to spirit. Blessed are the bees. Blessed is their hive returning through each flaw of rain, revealing the hierophany of nectar in the fresh light of the cloud's empty womb. Blessed is our moaning and shitting, our walking on quivering feet. Blessed is our walking and running, our speaking each day, our dying, our struggle toward freedom, our dying. Blessed is the fight for freedom, even more than to be free. Blessed is our life. Blessed is our instrument responding with purity to the collapsing sigh of the world. Our radiant repeating the gleaming cinder like honey, like wax, like roses. The world vanishing and nothing but us remaining beneath the abyss of God singing, I am the one that is not. We'll stop there. Just to contextualize, can you guys hear me okay? But just to contextualize as like the first 6.5 minutes of an hour-long performance. That is a live recording. Should I just talk about how it came into being?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a book-length poem called Ascend, Descend, and extended 21-day ritual seclusion type of thing. And when the book was published and it came time to tour behind the book and perform it, I thought, I can't just like do bookstore readings for this work. I need to do something that sort of like honors the sacred and ritual space in which I created this work. And I had done some musical collaborations in the past, but like very, just sort of like musicians who I would just sort of say like, hey, send me some tracks and I'll read over them or whatever. And so for Ascend Descend, I put together, it's a very, you can find pictures online or whatever, but I set up a whole ritual space. It is like a multimedia performance that goes for an hour. I've memorized the whole book, so I'm just reciting it. There's like candles and incense and colored lights and all sorts of ritual objects, and I go into sort of like a Butoh trance at one point for 10 minutes, and anyway. So I had worked with a friend of mine who's a fantastic musician, Adam Glasseye, to create a soundscape for the performance, and I would perform to that, and he composed it based on the cadence of my recitation of the work. And then Atlas Obscura, 7-city tour of the work. And when I was coming to Seattle, my producer said, hey, would you want to do a performance with a live musician instead of your pre-recorded soundtrack? And I was like, yeah, cool. I mean, who's the musician? And she said, well, there's this cellist, Laurie Goldston, who we're friends with here in Seattle. And Laurie is probably best known for being the cellist on Nirvana's Unplugged album. But she's also done work with like doom metal bands, Earth and Cat Power and all this stuff. So, and Nirvana was like a favorite band of mine when I was a teenager. So I was like, I get to perform with Lori Goldstein. It's fucking awesome. Okay, I'm in. But this was like hooked up while I was already on the road. And so I emailed Lori a PDF of the book. And I was like, let's have a call, let's talk about it, or whatever. Lori's like, no.
So wait. To that point, she had only read.
She had only read it. She hadn't heard me recite it.
Okay.
We met for the first time at soundcheck.
Wow.
What you just heard was the first and only take of us performing together. And it was performed in a church, so there's a lot of like reverb on my voice. That is the acoustics of the room.
Yeah.
And so then what happened was Lori, she brought in her own sound engineer because she's a pro, right? She's like, I'm going to bring my friend Mel in to be the sound engineer. And then we're doing sound check, and Mel just says, hey, I can record this if you guys want me to record it. I've got like, you're separately mic'd and everything. I'm happy to record it. I was like, yeah, I mean, I want that for posterity, you know? So Mel recorded it. And then this was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months before the pandemic or something like that. So Mel recorded the album.
So that's where.
No, this was like 4 or 5 months before COVID. Mel recorded it, the tour ended, COVID hit, and I just kind of forgot that I had these files. And it was just raw, it wasn't like mixed or mastered or anything like that. And I just kind of forgot I had these. Fast forward a few years, and I started talking with this guy, Steve Von Till, who is, he's also a poet and a musician. He runs Neurot Recordings. He's in the band Neurosis. And I mentioned to Steve that I had done this show with Lori, because Lori's played on some of Steve's albums. And he said, oh, cool, can you send me the tracks? I was like, well, they're just raw, they're not mixed or anything. He's like, yeah, just send them to me, I can figure it out. So I did, and he's like, I hadn't even listened to them because I did not have the ability to mix them myself. So I hadn't even listened to it, and Steve's like, this is cool. Do you want to put out a live album? And I was like, yeah, I do. This time was Mel, who was the sound engineer, has produced all these incredible albums. She's produced albums for like Godspeed You Black Emperor, Wolves in the Throne Room, like Earth, Sun, like all these incredible. So I went back to Mel and I was like, Mel, would you mix and master these tracks now? So Mel did, and then my book, which is actually produced by Third Man Records and Books. So then I had Third Man press the album, but then it was put out on Neurot. And then I did another tour behind the album this past year, which I never performed with Lori again though. I performed, but the cool thing was my experience with Lori and her like mastery of her art and ability to just improvise with me gave me a lot of faith in other musicians to do the same. So when I toured behind the album, I performed with other musicians in other cities and we did the same thing, where we just did like first take live improv of the book. And it was cool, really like doom, bass guitar, droney type stuff. I performed with Randall Dunn in New York, who's probably best known for doing the soundtrack to the movie Mandy, if anyone's seen that movie. So he does like really spacey, sort of like prog synth stuff. So anyway, that's that.
And that second time around touring it with these new set of musicians, did they have the benefit? Did you share the other recording with them?
Dylan did. Randall, I don't know if this is another weird story, but I was actually supposed to perform with Carter Logan, who's another synth guy from the band Squirrel, Jim Jarmusch. I was driving down to New York to do the show, and Carter calls me and he was like, I have COVID, I can't do the show tonight. And so Carter knew my work really well. And he said, but my friend Randall's on the guest list. He also plays synthesizer. I can ask him if he wants to stand in for me. And it was similar to the Lori thing where I was like, and I had no idea who Randall was. And turns out Randall not only did Mandy and he produced all these great albums, Randall and Mel, who recorded my album, used to be partners. And so there was this crazy like unplanned synergy and everything like that. So yeah. But my experience with that, what you just heard, was pretty wild because, like you were talking about, I was listening to her, you know, and I had to, or else it wasn't going to work out. And it changed the cadence of my performance of that text dramatically. Like, you heard sort of toward the end, I start to kind of like accelerate and it gets a little more incantatory. Normally on my own volition, that's happening a lot sooner. Like I'm building and building and building, and it's, but because Lori's doing this like really like slow experimental cello, I was like, this is where I want to go, come with me, and she would sort of come with me, but it was a slower progression. It was, yeah.
It's rad. More tunes?
So,
Yeah.
just one more, like, the experience of, so having recited it under sort of controlled circumstances before,
Yeah.
and having your own sort of roadmap
Yeah.
in place, and then sort of having, being thrown in fire, right, and having to deviate in the moment extemporaneously, was there some like adrenaline going on?
Definitely. I was really, well, right before the show started, I was really nervous, and it took a lot to kind of just like center myself and be ready to just perform that work and trust that like whatever was going to happen tonight was going to happen tonight.
And then as you were like wandering with her off your beaten path into these new
Yeah.
cadences and sort of, holy shit, this is like working.
I was, but like, you can't really, I can't operate on that many levels, you know, because remember, I'm also doing that whole text from memory too.
Right.
So I have to just kind of like be in it, and then at the end of the night, be like, I think we nailed it. I think that was good. Yeah.
Cool.
So.
That's very cool.
Subject.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something. So for me, Cafe Istanbul downstairs, that's my space. And so every Wednesday I have like, it's almost like a salon, right? And the thing that's cool about it is that you could, it's not like you have to have something that's polished and ready for, you can just try stuff and, you know, sometimes a stream of consciousness or whatever. And so it's almost like practice. And so because I do that almost every Wednesday, I'm a lot more comfortable with being in a space where I gotta change it up, where the musician is bringing something different. Now before, you know, something like 15 years ago, that would have just threw me off. I was like, oh, what the hell, right? But now because of the weekly practice, I'm way more comfortable with making the adjustment. So.
I think that's a really great point. And I remember someone asked me in an interview when the record came out about like, how did you and Lori pull this off? And I said, well, I mean, Lori's been a professional, and I've been performing for 20 years. And so what you don't see in that like magic moment where it somehow comes together is that we've both been doing this on our own for a really long time, and we've like learned to trust other people and just like kind of go with it.
One more jam, one that we made? Sure. Just gonna play one here.
Okay.
Welcome to the future. You'll no longer speak with your tongue, and your epiglottis regenerates with SHA-256 encryption. The new iPhone 35BS is here. Buy one. Act natural. The rectilinear laser unlock feature. The flashball can stun Randy enforcement officials if you need a night off from cavity searches. Buy one. Act natural. The iPhone 35VS's Whisper Dream feature will alert your partner when you're aroused and ready for a carbon-neutral orgasm. The Drytone 35BS can scrub your colon and ultrasound your uterus to monitor your birth control levels and semen score. Buy one. The Cryphone 35BS, encased in locally farmed foreskin, can turn cream on the edge into biological milk. The Biphone 35BS can scale up your cholesterol by 2 points and pay traffic tickets before you earn them.